All right, let's jump right in. For millions and millions of people, a food allergy is just a part of daily life. And for a long time, the number one rule has been super simple and totally absolute. Just avoid the food that makes you sick. I mean, it's a strategy that literally saves lives. But what if that vital safety net has a hidden cost? So, just how big of a deal is this? Well, food allergies are a major public health challenge, especially when it comes to kids. Here in the United States, about 1 in every 13 children is living with a food allergy. Now, to put that in perspective, that's roughly 2 students in every single classroom. So yeah, this is something that touches pretty much every community out there. For decades, really, the main game plan has been crystal clear. If you're allergic to a food, you have to cut it out of your diet. Completely. This isn't just a casual suggestion, right? It's the fundamental, life-saving advice that doctors give to prevent what could be a really severe reaction. And this is where our explainer really gets interesting. We all accept that avoidance is necessary for survival, of course. But what if this critical defense mechanism, what if it unintentionally opens the door to other health problems down the road? What if the solution itself has these long-term consequences that we're only just now starting to fully wrap our heads around? This brings us straight to the heart of the dilemma. On one hand, you've got this non-negotiable need to avoid an allergen, to stop a reaction from happening. But on the other hand, you've got the nutritional hole that this very avoidance can create. It's an incredibly delicate balancing act, a trade-off between immediate safety and long-term health. So the main tool in the toolbox here is what's called an elimination diet. It's basically a clinical strategy where specific foods are taken out of the picture, either to figure out what the trigger is in the first place or to manage an allergy that's already been diagnosed. This is the real-world application of that strict avoidance rule we were just talking about. Now get this, while over 170 foods can technically cause an allergic reaction, this list right here, the big 9, they're responsible for more than 90% of them. And what's so important about this list is that these aren't some obscure, weird ingredients. We're talking about foundational, nutrient-packed staples in most diets. So removing them, that's a pretty major nutritional event. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain on this hidden risk. We're going to move past the immediate fear of a severe reaction and really look at the slower, more subtle impact that cutting out major food groups can have on the body, especially for kids who are still growing. And hey, this isn't just some theory we're floating. The research, like this quote from a 2022 study, lays it out pretty plainly. Eliminating allergens is really a double-edged sword. Sure, it solves the immediate problem, but it introduces brand new risks. Things like poor growth, a lack of essential vitamins and minerals, and even the development of feeding problems. Now, here's a crucial point. The level of risk is not the same for everybody. Think about it. A child who's only allergic to, say, peanuts might be able to make up for those lost nutrients pretty easily. But a child who's allergic to milk and egg and wheat, whoa, they're facing a huge challenge to get the protein, calcium, iron, and B vitamins they need to grow. The more foods you take out, the bigger the nutritional puzzle becomes. So let's get a little more specific. In this next part, we're going to break down exactly which key nutrients go missing when these common, really foundational foods get taken off the menu.
This table just illustrates the link perfectly. Look, when you take out cow's milk, you're not just getting rid of a drink, you're losing a major source of calcium and vitamin D. And the consequence of that? It can lead to weaker bones and even affect how tall a person ultimately grows. Or take out wheat, and you're suddenly at risk for being low on iron, fiber, and B vitamins. You see, every single elimination creates a specific nutritional gap with very real clinical consequences.
So this leads us from the what, the specific nutrients that are being lost, to the so what. What does all this actually mean for a child's physical development? What are the real-world measurable effects? Well, the evidence is really consistent and it's super clear. When scientists compare big groups of kids, the ones with multiple food allergies often have lower scores on standard growth charts. And we're not talking about tiny, insignificant differences here. These are actual, statistically measurable impacts on their height and weight as they grow up. And this effect can be permanent. Just look at this chart. It shows the average height score, which is just a fancy way of measuring how a person's height compares to the average for young adults. The healthy group, they're right around the average line, as you'd expect. But the group who had a cow's milk allergy, or CMA, since they were little, on average, they are significantly shorter. This just shows that those nutritional gaps in childhood can have consequences that last a lifetime. Okay, so we've laid out a pretty serious problem, but the story absolutely does not end there. The good news is, these risks are not a foregone conclusion. With a proactive, smart, and really comprehensive approach, they can be managed effectively. It's all about shifting from a reactive mindset to a strategic one. And here it is. This is the key takeaway. Successful allergy management isn't just about what you take out of the diet, it's just as much about what you strategically put back in. It's a two-part mission. Step 1, avoid the allergen to stay safe. Step 2, actively and intentionally replace the nutrition you just lost. Both are critical. So how do you actually do that? Well, first things first, a correct diagnosis is absolutely essential, so you're not restricting foods you don't need to. Second, you have to create a custom nutrition plan to sub in those lost nutrients. It's not about finding just any replacement, but the right one. Third, work with a professional, like a registered dietitian who really gets this stuff. And finally, you have to monitor growth closely to catch any issues early and tweak the plan if you need to. And this brings us right back to the experts. As this research from 2023 points out, a dietitian isn't just some nice-to-have resource. They are a key component of the medical team. They're the ones with the specific expertise to figure out nutritional needs, find safe and effective substitutes, and give the personalized counseling that families really need to get through this successfully. So we're going to leave you with this one question to think about. Is the allergy plan you know, whether it's for you, your child, or someone you love, is it just focused on the immediate goal of surviving the next meal without a reaction? Or is it a holistic plan, designed not just for survival, but for long-term thriving health? Because as we've seen, the goal has to be both.